Johnny, where were you born and in what year?
I was born in 1930, the 28th of August, and I was born in the Green, in Cashel.
Can you describe the area?
Oh, at that time, we were able to huddle in the Green. There was no cars. You could just go out and huddle along the road all day.
And were there a lot of houses?
It was called the Green because there was a green circle in front of the hospital, and that's how it got the name, I think, the Green. But we used to be huddling there all the time.
Okay, and tell me about your family.
Oh, my mother died when I don't even remember my mother. My mother died, I was very small, but it was my grandmother reared us, and she was our mother, really.
And do you know what your parents did for a living?
Oh yeah, my father was a carpenter.
What did most of the adults do in your area?
Oh, most of them were tradesmen, plasterers or carpenters or plumbers or whatever.
How big was your family?
5. There was 5 of us. There was Jimmy, the oldest, then Peggy, my sister, then Mickey, and then Mary. She married Mighty Cawley.
Okay.
And I was the youngest.
What kind of house did you live in?
2-storey house in the Green.
Could you describe it for us?
A council house, kitchen, and a sitting room downstairs and 2 bedrooms upstairs.
What were your earliest childhood memories?
Oh God, I have a lot of memories. Going to the river in the summertime, swimming, catching breakmeans in the stream. There was a stream out the Feathers Road out near your granddad. They used to call it the Mile Stream, and we used to live out there catching breakmeans, small little fellas.
And did you walk out there?
Oh yeah, yeah.
What did your siblings and friends do to entertain yourselves as children?
Well, mostly huddling. And at that time there were seasonal things. They had what they call tops. You'd be spinning tops. They'd come in season maybe in April, and they'd last for about a month. And then maybe the next month then there was a game called marbles, a little brass ball, and you'd spin them along the ground. You'd put 3 or 5 of them into a ring and you'd try and knock them out. The skin used to be cut off for thumbs there from using them so often. And then another season would come where we'd make kites. Do you know what a kite is?
Yeah.
We used to make them, and they'd last for another month. And then the summertime would come, we'd be down swimming.
Did you and your brothers and sisters go to primary school?
Yeah.
Where was the school and what was it called?
The first school I went to was the National School in the Old Road. It's closed down now, it's transferred up to the Old Road further. And then I went down to the Christian Brothers, down in the Golden Road. And of course that's gone now again, that's out in the where year.
Roughly how many pupils were in your class?
There was nearly always 25 to 28.
Can you remember the names of your teachers and principals?
Oh, indeed I do. I remember there was Mr. Egan. He was Frank Egan, he was a lovely man. And he was a great age when he died. But he is a son, he's a priest now I think up in Clonoulty. And he was one of the first teachers. And then there was a Mr. Rogers. He'd be Sean Rogers' father. Sean was very involved with the drama in Cashel for years. And then we went to the Christian Brothers.
What were they like?
The Christian Brothers?
No, and your teachers?
Oh, it's like everything. Some of them were grand, and more of them were terrible.
What were your favourite subjects and why?
Believe it or not, Irish was one of my favourite subjects. I just liked Irish. And in fact, I went to the technical school after leaving the Christian Brothers, and I got a scholarship in 1947 to go to a Gaeltacht down in Newcastle for a month. There was one boy and one girl from each school in the county got it, and I was lucky I was the boy. And there was a girl, Breed Croak from Ballinure. she was the girl. So we gave a month down in the Gaeltacht down in Newcastle. Newcastle is between Clonmel and Dungarvan.
In general, what was school like?
Ah, sure. It all depended on whether you were clever or not.
Was it different to schools nowadays?
Ah, indeed it was.
And how?
Well, at that time you'd get slapped. If you missed a question, you'd get bang. Now, I don't think there's any slapping. But some of the teachers, I think they used to take pleasure in walloping the children. Some of them had a stick, and more of them had a leather strap. And I remember there was one particular brother, and he'd get you to put your hand out, and sometimes he'd hit you that way. And more times he'd stand in front of you, and it's up here, on the wrist you'd get it, and they would wallop you. But the Christian brothers, I hadn't much time for.
When did you leave school?
Left school at 17.
Could you have went further with your studies?
I could, yeah. But you see, my father went to England, so I had nobody to tell me keep going to school, so I more or less went to the technical school and then went to serve my time to be a mechanic.
What things do you do to amuse yourself when you became a teenager?
Fishing, mostly, and hunting.
Where did you hunt?
Everywhere. When we were young, nearly every house had a dog. They'd have some sort of a dog, and a crowd of us would get together and we'd all bring the dogs off. And you could give hours and hours off hunting. And anything you met then, rabbits, hares, foxes, anything. We had a great time.
And the place where you went fishing, what did you call it again? What was the river?
Oh, the shore. The river shore.
And did you eat the fish? Or
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
sure. In the summertime, when we'd be in fishing, or in swimming, we used to put down eel lines to catch eels. And you'd get a worm, put it on the hook, and a bit of lead to sink it. And then you'd have a cork about 3 or 4 feet up from it. And when the eel would be at it, the cork would shake up and down, and you'd know you had an eel. So you just pull them out. So we could be fishing while we were swimming.
And were there bailiffs on the rivers?
No,
back
no,
then?
not at all. No.
What was your first job?
I went to McCluskey's to serve my time to be a mechanic. And little did I know then, but I owned a garage later on. When I served my time in 47, I eventually then bought it out. And Patsy O'Neill has it now, down here on the K Road. I sold it to Patsy after Mam died.
How long did it take you to serve your time as a mechanic?
Oh, at that time it was, 6 years, and a year as an improver. I mean, it was an awful long time.
You'd nearly qualify as a doctor now in 6 years.
If you were going to be good at either carpentry or a mechanic, you'd be as good at 3 or 4 years. I know experience is a lot, but if you were good and interested, you should be good enough at 4 years.
So at what age were you fully qualified then as a mechanic?
I was 24, and after serving my time then I went to Cork. I went down to the OK garage in Cork. They were one of the biggest diesel garages in the country at the time, and I went down there and gave a year learning to do the diesel engines.
Was it well paid?
No, I started off at 10 shillings a week for the first year, and after a fortnight they gave me 2 shillings of a rise, and the second year you got 14 shillings. The third year you got 33. I mean, it was only pittance for the work we were doing. Was
Going back to your childhood, what kind of food did you eat?
anything we got.
How many meals a day did you have?
3, breakfast, dinner and supper. And you'd be so hungry after all the hurling in the night time, you'd have a cup of milk and something to go into bed.
Was the food always fresh?
Yeah, yeah.
Did you always have plenty of food to eat?
Oh, we did.
Did you eat certain foods on special occasions? Fridays, Sundays, birthdays, weddings, Christmas, Easter.
Oh, well, at that time, you'd never get meat of a Friday. It was always fish. It was considered a sin to eat meat of a Friday. Now they eat everything.
Would you have had, say, fresh milk, and would you have had running water when you were very young?
Oh yeah, the only water we had when we were young was a tap out in the yard, and we'd have fresh milk every evening.
Was there a creamery in
No,
Cashel?
no. At that time, nearly every second house in the town, as far as I know, I think there was 14 houses that sold milk in Cashel. There was Foley's in the Green. They lived in the town, but they had land out the country. They used to sell milk. Joe Leary, do you know George at Hull's? His grandfather. They lived in the town again, and they sold milk. Hanley's up in the Green. They sold milk. And all Paddy Meany's, all different houses around the town. Do you know the chap at the Leamys that plays, Dennis Leamy that plays the rugby? Well, his granny, she sold milk again at the back of the pipe, at the back of the town hall. And everybody sold milk.
There was a lot of shops around Cashel then.
Oh, there was, yeah.
Small, local convenience stores.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you go up the rock much?
Oh, we did, yeah. Oh, yeah. We used to go up the rock, and we used to go down to the whole abbey, and we'd be climbing up trying to get the jackdaws' nests. I don't know how we weren't killed. You'd be climbing up and trying, you wouldn't even know where the hole would be in the wall. It was all right going up and coming down, you wouldn't have a clue where your leg was going into a hole. But luckily enough, we never fell.
We were down by Hore Abbey recently with the boys. We went down there to the Black Stream that runs in front of us.
Yeah.
Someone told me and told us that was quite polluted.
That was the sewerage. The sewerage from the town went down and into that stream and finished up going into the River Shore. Do you know do you know O'Brien's guest house?
Yes.
Tom O'Brien's guest house. Well, if you continue down along, they call it the Bowling Bucht, and down at the end of that would bring you straight down to the River Shore. They used to call it Sandy Bottom. And if you turn left there then and headed for Golden, down about 2 or 3 fields down there, that stream that you're talking about, that used to flow into the River Shore. But funny enough, by the time the water reached the river, it used to be clear. It was amazing how clear it would be just before it flew into the river.
When you were young, did you get much of a chance, young, to visit places in Tipperary outside Cashel?
No. I think I was 16 years of age before I saw the sea. Yeah.
Where? Where did you go to?
Clonea. Yeah, somebody brought me to... at that time, there was very few cars. And very odd bus going, like now.
Do you remember the railway in Cashel?
Oh, I do, yeah.
Would you tell us about that?
I remember the railway. The fall of the year, we used to pick blackberries. You'd get a shilling for a gallon of blackberries. And around 1947-48, Cashel got into a county final. They played Lara. I don't know, was it a final or semi-final? But they called it the Blackberry Express, because everybody was going out collecting a gallon of blackberries and you get a shilling for it. And they christened the train the Blackberry Express. But it was turf at that time, and you might go out 3 or 4 miles when the fire died down and the train would just pull up, and you'd have to wait for maybe a quarter of an hour to get up steam and to go off again for another while. Oh, we had great fun.
How did you find out about things that were happening in Ireland and around the world when you were young?
We did with the radio. That was the only way you'd find out.
Did your family have a radio?
No, we didn't have a radio until as a matter of fact, we didn't have electricity for years and years. We had candles and tilly lamps and paraffin oil lamps. You put paraffin oil in, and eventually then every house got into electricity.
When did electricity, say, first come to the town of Cashel? Do you know?
I wouldn't be sure to be back in the 39 the war broke out. It was shortly after that.
Do you have any memory of being around during World War II, and did it have any effect on the community here?
Oh, it did. When the war broke out, everything was rationed, and you only got so much bread. You got coupons, and when you go to a shop, you had to give in a coupon to get a loaf of bread. You'd get a half pound of butter, so much sugar, and tea, and that was it. And when that was gone, I remember several times eating potatoes for our tea. The bread would be gone, and you wouldn't go hungry when you have potatoes, but you'd have to eat it. There was a song came out during the war. I don't know if any of you ever heard of it. It was called Bless 'Em All, and it went, bless 'em all, bless 'em all, bless the long and the short and the tall, bless the Valera and Sean McEntee for giving us the brown bread and a half ounce of tea. Sure they rationed the cocoa and all, that needn't be rationed at all. Sure they're bringing starvation to our little nation, so join up to Vincent de Paul. You never heard that, did you?
No, where did you hear that song?
That came out during the war.
Okay.
Yeah.
You didn't see many cars when you were younger.
No.
But yet you ended up most of your life working with cars.
That's right, yeah.
Did you have an interest in them when you were a child and a young boy?
All belonged to me were carpenters. And I was going to be a carpenter. I should have been a carpenter. Because when I went to the technical school, you learned woodwork and engineering. And there was 4 of us. There was Danzy Ryan out in Rose Green, who became a builder, and a very good one. And there was Con Heffernan at Dualla, another marvellous tradesman. And there was Gussie MacDonald, whom you interviewed, and myself. And the 4 of us used to be vying with each other when we'd be making things, to know who'd make the best one. So I was going to be a carpenter, and would love to have been one. But it all changed when I started going out to Brogan's in the Clonmel Road. Do you know John Grogan, Claire Grogan, the camogie player?
Yeah.
Well, her uncle now, Dan. I used to go out there when I was young, 16, 17, and they had the tractor. And I used to stay out there, go to a Friday, and I'd stay until Sunday night. And I used to drive the tractor and plough and do everything. And instead of being a carpenter, I switched to being a mechanic. So that changed my life.
Do you have a favourite song or story from your childhood that you could sing for us or tell us?
Oh my God. Did you ever hear tell of the Banshee Peeler?
No.
Did you?
No.
You never heard tell of the Banshee Peeler?
Tell us.
The Banshee Peelers went out one night on duty and patrolio. They met a goat upon the road, and they took it to be a strollio. With bayonets fixed they sallied forth, and caught her by the wicks and oh. They then let out a mighty roar, till they'd send her off to prison oh. Oh mercy, sir, the goat replied, I am no thief or Tory oh. I'm an honest milking goat, you see, and this is the milking season oh. Oh Peggy McGegg, let go of me leg, or I'll poke you with my horn oh. Now, that's the Banshee Peeler.
And where did you learn that?
We learned to go to school.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you remember any traditions or customs in the olden days in Cashel that have since died out?
Oh yeah. The fair day, there was what they call an old fair day in Cashel. It used to be on the 26th of March every year, and it used to be held up in Ladies Well Street. And the 26th of March now, all the cows, they'd be after calving, and they'd bring in, the farmers would bring in the cows in the morning, and about 5 o'clock in the evening, the women of the town used to go up with gallons and buckets, and the farmers used to leave them milk the cows, because they'd be bursting with milk. in order to sell them, the bigger the dog, the better the cow would look. And the farmers wouldn't milk the cow the night before or in the morning. So by the evening time, the milk would be nearly dripping out of them. And the women of the town used to come up with a bucket and milk them.
The fair days, they stopped.
Oh, that's
then.
done away with now. Yeah, it's all a mart now.
Yeah. Anything else from that time?
Well, the fair, the fair day itself used to be once a month, but that would be on the main street, and there'd be cattle outside every shop in the town. And in the evening time, the shopkeepers would have to come out and wash down the walls. There'd be, you know what, everywhere. And the council then would come along and hose the street. But the cows, or the cattle, they'd be in the one place all day until they'd be sold. And the farmer would be there and he might have a couple of sons trying to keep the cattle in a little circle. And some of them you couldn't, they'd be breaking and hunting them up and down. But that was life then.
And did you go down to the fair to see what was going on?
Coming home from school, you'd be gone to school. But coming home from school then we'd be there. And at Christmas then was another big day, was the turkey market. The farmers' wives would bring in the turkeys and the geese into the town to sell them. And they'd have them in pins. Some of them would bring them in the horse and car, and they'd be in the car. And the farmers' wives then would sell them, and that would be their few pounds for Christmas. We were very lucky. Where we lived in the Green, there was farmers out in Mokel's Hill. They were called monotonies, and there was two sisters, and they used to come in a pony and trap every Sunday morning to mass, and they used to leave the pony and trap in Foley's yard in the Green. Do you know where the optician place is now, or the hearing aid place is?
Yes.
Going over to Fire Street. There was a yard there, and Billy Foley's grandfather owned it, and they used to leave the pony and trap in there, and they used to come over to our house, which was only over 30 yards, and they used to come in then and tidy up and go to mass. And every Christmas they'd bring us in a goose, and the goose was even nicer than a turkey. But every Christmas we had a goose, and it was all because the two Malachney women used to come into our house.
You mentioned about the pony and trap there,
Yeah.
and that you lived in the Green.
Yeah.
My grandfather was William Ryan. They had a saddler's
Yeah.
shop.
Yeah.
Do you
In
remember?
the main street.
On the main street. Do you remember him?
Did I do? Yeah. Willie Andy they used to call.
Yes. Yeah.
That's right.
He'd have been a neighbour of yours, I guess.
Yeah,
then.
well, I lived in the corner house now where John Fogarty lives, and your grandfather was
Grandfather, yeah.
he lived over in Tracy Villas,
Yes.
just
yeah.
over around the corner.
Uh-huh.
Oh, he was a grand man. He'd be Angus's father.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
PJ.
and Liam.
And Liam,
Yes.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
But talking about a pony and trap, in 1945, 4 of us went to the Munster final, Tip and Limerick, in the pony and trap. And how the pony and trap came about was, after the war years and during the war years, there was a Miss Le Terrier. She lives down in Kiltyne and Cashel. Andrew Lloyd Webber now owns the place down outside Feathert. Did you know Andrew Lloyd Webber?
Mm-hmm.
Well, he bought Kiltyne. But she was a Miss Le Terrier, and she had a whole load of batty ponies, and she used to hire them out in the summertime to people in the bog saving turf to bring home the turf. And there was a guard Carley in Cashel, and he hired a pony to bring home turf, and it happened to be the week of the Munster final, so he got a trap from somebody, and 4 of us went to Tullis in the pony and trap. And we went down John Street and down the Kill, they call it, down the road to Tullis. We went down there like Ben Hur, but by the time we got out to Borland, they passed us in bicycles and wheelbarrows and trams and everything. The pony wasn't able to go.
And do you have any hurling memories?
I do.
Will you name some of them for us?
Well, that was one of the first Munster finals I saw in 1945, and Jim Devitt did you tell of Jim Devitt? He was in Cashel here, he was on the tip team. And do you remember Tom Devitt? The funeral parlour. Liam Devitt, you know, the funeral parlour in Cashel. Well, his father was Tom Devitt. And Tom's brother was Jim Devitt. He hurled for Tip in 1945. So that would be one of my... But I remember going cycling to Clonmel with Dan Grogan several times to see Holy Cross and Carrick Swans playing in Clonmel. And we cycled to Thurles several times to matches.
This is a big question, but how do you think Cashel has changed over the years?
Oh, sure, there's no comparison now. I mean, there's houses everywhere. Every road you go now, there's a housing estate somewhere on it. When I came up here, I was the only house on this road, and now they're everywhere. You have Minogue's Furniture here, there's another 4 down at the other side of me, and the town is nearly out to here.
When you were young, so you probably know everybody in the town.
Oh yeah, you know everyone.
And has it changed for the better, do you think?
Oh, it has. Oh yeah. But the only thing is, the youngsters now, except they're involved in sport, I wouldn't know who they'd be. But once you see their faces hurling or whatever they're playing, whether it's tennis or badminton or any game, rugby, you'll get to know them. But other than that, you wouldn't have a clue who they'd be.
And have people changed?
Whereas before, you'd know everyone.
Yeah. Have the people changed?
Ah, they have. Before, when you come out of Mass on a Sunday morning, there'd be a line up right across the road. Nobody would go home, they'd all go across for a chat. You'd be either talking about cows or hurling or football or something. But now they come out into the car and they're gone. There's no such thing as talking now.
This video will be made available for further generations to see what Cashel was like for child and young adult during the 1940s and 1950s and beyond.
Yeah.
Giovanni, do you have any final words for the people who will be watching this recording?
Oh God, I don't know what to say. All I'd say is be good to your parents and look after them, because they're after doing a lot for you. Do you think I'm right?
Yes.
I'd say so, yeah.